Hi everyone, this is Mark Baer with the T101 Script Analysis Final Lecture. Thought it was really important as we approach the final exam on Thursday that I take a moment not to introduce any new information, but to bring everything that we've been studying over the last 6 weeks together. You might feel like, as you prepare for the exam, that you're swimming in the long list of terms that we've studied rather quickly over the last 6 weeks. And it can seem sometimes that different chapters may have conflicted with each other, or you're not sure how one concept relates to another or how they all fit together into a whole. And so that's the purpose of this lecture, is to put everything that we've been studying in a single context. This is entirely review. You will not get any new information in the next half hour or so, but you will see. I'm going to try to put these things in order and relate them, and really I'm trying to explain my script analysis process that I use when I'm preparing to direct a show on the professional stage. How do I use the tools that we've been studying to go from a script that I've never read before to being prepared with the analysis I need to go into production meetings and to rehearsals or auditions for an upcoming production. Here we go. All right, so big picture of what we've looked at in this course. We identified early on that Aristotle divided drama into 6 elements, and we've spent the semester studying really in depth 4 of those elements. We've studied diction, plot, character, and idea. We've really come to understand that all of the information that we need to analyze a script is in the diction, in the words that the characters say on stage. We read the stage directions, we read any other notes that the author gives us and take what we can from those, but really the most important information that we get about the elements of a play that give us some clues as to how this play should be produced are in those words of the play. And we understand that those words have a special expressiveness, as Thomas puts it, that allow a ton of information to be packed into those words that the characters speak. You know, in a comparatively short number of words compared to a book, we get a lot of information. We start with those words. We analyze the plot and character of the play, and through an understanding of plot and character and the words, we then come to an understanding of the idea or thought of the play, which then informs, and the idea, the most important element in my opinion, the idea of the play then informs all of the other choices. So there's a cycle here where we start with the diction, we analyze plot and character, we come to an understanding of idea, and then that understanding of idea then affects what we know about the plot, character, and diction. We come back around, and I'm going to go through that process in this lecture. So, in the first reading of a play, from the very beginning, in looking at how we begin a script analysis, my first priority is always to just read and enjoy the play. And it can be so stressful thinking about script analysis and thinking about all of the detail and depth that you have to go into over the course of from not knowing a play at all to being ready to produce a show. The first time I read the play, I really try to just sit back and enjoy it. If in that first reading, I can also come to an understanding of the given circumstances of the play, then that's great. And I'm kind of looking for those as I go, but I'm not being dogmatic about it. If I need to go back and reread a little bit or look for specific details that I missed, that's just fine. So I read and enjoy the story. And I'm looking for those given circumstances, which fall into two categories, as we know: world of the play and background story. So the world of the play includes the time of the play, the place that each scene is taking place, the society, economics, politics and law, learning and the arts, and spirituality. You remember that list from a couple of chapters ago. I'm looking for those details. If by the end of the first read I have a general understanding of these things, and with a little extra effort I can get to a specific understanding of these things, I'm in great shape. I'm also looking to understand the background story of each character. And of course, if we watch a movie and can't explain after watching it once the background story for those characters, can't explain who this character was and what happened to them before the story started, then we probably haven't had a really successful viewing of that movie. So it's not a high order to pick up and understand the basics of the background story for each character, and I'll go back after reading that play once and look at the background story for each character and make myself write that background story in chronological order and make sure I'm considering each character and what I know. If I have to go back and look for the details there in the text, that's just fine. But this is the first step. The first thing we're trying to do is understand the given circumstances. All right, so I've read the play once. I've enjoyed it. I've trying to remember what I enjoyed about it, remember moments I laughed, and remember moments that I was surprised or shocked, trying to keep that information intact. I've done a basic analysis of the given circumstances. My second time through the script, I'm starting to break it apart. And the first way that I go about breaking apart is looking for the progressions. I divide the play into beats, units, scenes, and acts. Scenes and acts are usually already predefined for you. If they're not, it's easy enough to break up the big scenes. But as I'm reading through the second time, I'm making little marks in my script that define the beats, and I'm looking to grab those together into units. When I find a unit, I try to identify the external event that took place in that unit. And I start making my list as I go through. So there is one external event for each unit, and you can go back and look at the details about each unit. They usually end with some sort of physical action. So I'm looking for, the units are really the building blocks of the plot. The beats are the tiny little pieces, but the units are really the most important pieces that I'm looking for as I'm trying to figure out how the play works. Once I've divided the play into units and I've identified an external event for each unit, then I'm looking for the structure. And I go back and I try to identify the unit that, what's the primary event that happens before the story begins that sets it all up. That's part of the given circumstances, right? Looking for, is this an early or late point of attack? And then I'm looking in the list of external events for the inciting event, the first climax, the second climax, the final climax. If I can pick out those high points, just put a little star by them in my list of external events, then I've really done a pretty good, pretty complete plot analysis in my second time through. I don't need to yet be concerned with understanding the idea or the internal events of the play. I just leave those off my plate for now. What I'm looking for is to divide the play into progressions, to identify the events of the play, and to highlight the most important events that help me start to understand the structure. So now I'm diving into the script for a third time through. And by the way, yes, absolutely, I read the play this many times. Yes, absolutely. By the first rehearsal, I have absolutely read the play 15 to 20 times. I've been living in the script, in the analysis, for at least 3 to 6 months before a rehearsal process. So there's a lot of that process that's invisible to most other people who are involved. And of course, designers and actors and other members of the production team have to do their own level of analysis, but I think the analysis is most detailed for the director because they have to be concerned with pretty much everything. So yes, I'm reading the play all these times. Sorry for the digression. We're back to the third reading of the play in which I'm looking at character. Now, I've read the play twice through, so I do understand. It's not that I don't know the characters already, or I've never thought about who's the main character of this play yet. But this time through, I'm forcing myself to define the main character and the antagonist, make sure I understand who those people are. Sometimes it's harder than you think to identify those people. Define the primary relationship. So now I'm talking about trying to understand what the central conflict of this play might be about. What is the thing that brings them into conflict, and what super objectives do those two characters have that bring them into conflict and make their life together impossible without one of them winning or losing. And then once I understand that main relationship, then I force myself to go character by character and understand the elements that Thomas has identified. The complexity of each character, 2D or 1D. Remember, the only 3D characters in the play are those two main characters. Each other character have some sort of lesser depth to them. Based on their, as Thomas puts it, their ability for self-knowledge. Understanding the willpower, who are the characters that drive the action in this play, could be the main characters, could not be, and values, personality traits, and super objectives for each other character. And I'm trying then to identify the character roles. Now we're veering toward idea here. Right, where these terms were listed in the idea chapter. But I in this reading of the play, I start to break out who's the narrator of this play, is there a chorus, is there a raisonneur, is there a confidant or a norm character, and actually there are other character roles that we didn't get to study in this course. Catalyst. Foils, and so forth, that I'm looking for what function each character plays in the overall plot through this reading. So my fourth time through the play, now I'm heading for idea. I have read the words of the play 3 previous times. I have looked for the given circumstances. The first time through, I've looked for details of the plot. The second time through, I've looked for details of each character. The third time through. Now my fourth time through, I'm looking for the main idea of this play. And I'm noting idea in the words. So I'm grappling with the meaning of the title. I'm looking for discussions, aphorisms, allusions, speeches, imagery, a prologue and epilogue if there is one. I'm looking for idea in the plot. Where are there parallelism in the plot? How does the conflict indicate ideas? How do the super objectives of the main characters indicate the idea? What is happening in that main climax that I identified, and how can that possibly relate to an idea? And, I don't jump to the main idea right away. I follow what Thomas suggests. First, I'm looking for the seed, which is basically the topic of the play. What are we talking about here? The one single topic that everything else fits in. And for that, I'm going back to those external events that I've made a list of already. And I'm looking, well, is there a topic? Is there a single topic that brings all of these events together? Then I'm trying to understand the theme. what is the play's perspective on the seed? And to do that, I'm looking for, what the socio-political groups represented in the characters are, how the characters, how those socio-political groups interact, and what results the playwright chooses to show us. So I'm looking for, okay, I understand this is the topic of the play now. Now, what is how the play comes out? Tell me about that topic, right? What am I supposed to think? How does the play want me to feel about that topic? And so finally then, I'm having looked for idea in the words, the plot, identified a seed, understood the theme. Now I try to state the main idea. And it is absolutely super important for a director before they go into collaboration with any other artist, whether it's a designer or an actor, that they understand the main idea of the play and can state it simply. Just like Thomas says in the textbook, I believe I'm with him 100%, that if you can't state the main idea of the play in a single declarative statement, that you really are not ready to direct the play, because you really don't understand. You're still stuck in the complexity of the play and don't understand the basic ideas that are being presented and what you're shooting at. You don't understand the target you're shooting at until you can state the main idea in a single declarative statement. So now that I've been through the play 4 times, and I've finally come to some understanding of the main idea of the play, now I reverse engineer, and I go back, I take that main idea, and I apply it back to the plot, the character, and the diction. And you'll see, if you ever go through this process in full, you will see that now your understanding of the main idea changes how you understand everything else. So now that you know what the play is about, you go back and you can take each of these external events and understand the internal action of them. You can understand the internal event and how that main idea is present in every event that happens in the play. You can understand the world of the play more clearly. Why are the details of this world the way they are? And you can make some additional assumptions about the world of the play that may not be specifically mentioned in the play, but are choices that you can make now, informed choices, because you understand that main idea. You can also understand in more detail the objectives, actions, and conflicts for each character in each beat. And I find that simply the words on the page are different now, are more meaningful. Now that I understand the point of the play, I can go back and read it in a much deeper way. And so that's how there's a kind of cyclical motion to script analysis that I think it's really important to understand. So there are a number of loose ends now to tie up to make my analysis complete. I call this a final read of the play, but you're never really done reading a play if you're set up to participate in a production or even direct a show. You're really never done reading the play. But I go back through at least a 5th time and list those internal actions, right? Go back through my list of external actions and relate them each to the main idea that I've identified. I need to understand for every beat in the play, I need to understand the objectives, the actions, and the conflict for every character in every beat. Now that is a long and detailed process, but in order to be ready to go into rehearsal, completely prepared, I need to be disciplined and accomplish that. Restate each character's main objective in a way that expresses the main idea. So important when you're working with an actor to be able to understand how their character relates to the whole. They're going to understand their character on a personal level much better than you do. But they may not be able to see how their character relates to the whole and the main idea of the plot when they are deep into rehearsals. So understanding that's a key element for a successful rehearsal process from a directing perspective. I review the progressions and structure to find the melody of the play. Where does the play speed up and where does it slow down? Where are its emotional high points and its rests? Because there's nothing worse than watching a flat production where everything is just as important as everything else. And I begin to make a list now after I've done all of this. I finally start to make a list of the set, props, costumes, lighting, sound, special effects, etc. Right? I need to understand all of this about the diction, the plot, the character, the idea, all of these details. I personally believe I need to understand all of them before I can start talking with the scenic designer, the costume designer, the lighting designer, the sound designer. Because those elements are all tied together by that main idea that I've discovered. And if I don't complete my analysis before wading into those discussions, then I risk having a production that just doesn't fit together. It doesn't find that unity that can make the experience of watching a play so magical.